Hello, hello, and welcome to Reality Hacker for September 7th, 2024. It's Season 1, Episode 35. I am Mayor Watt, and the voice you hear and the visualizer right there is for the Sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to Reality Hacker.
Your mic is really hot. Hold on. I got it. Today we're going to be talking about phantom feelings, bone marrow transplants, bioprinting biology, disappearing $37 billion profits, service robots in the UK, AI checkers just plain suck, robot vacuums that climb, lab-grown brain tissue, AI news aggregators, always watching Lenovo AI laptop, and more. Everything's brought to you by ohmTown.com. See you on the other side. Whenever I say see you on the other side, I don't mean in the terminal sort of way.
In the afterlife kind of sense.
Yeah. And if I say Beetlejuice, oh wait. Doggone it.
Uh-oh, we better stop.
All right, folks, let's get into today's articles. The very first one is over in Technology Today, the neuroscience of phantom sensations. Can we feel what's not really there? Yes. Historically, yes. New research has established the parameters needed for inducing phantom sensations, enhancing technologies like virtual reality and devices for the hearing impaired. All right. Individuals can experience the sense of touch without actual tactile stimulation. This phenomenon, known as phantom sensation, occurs when the nervous system perceives a tactile illusion that does not correspond to any real sensory inputs. The University of Malaga put this article together, and it's over at scitechdaily.com. Individuals can experience this sensation without any actual tactile stimulation. Researchers from the Electronics for Instrumentation and Systems group at UMA have recently made significant advancements in understanding this phenomenon. For the first time, they have identified the minimum distance a vibrating point must travel for a person to perceive this moving phantom sensation. That's interesting. Guess I did that. So, according to Trujillo, Trujillo.
Yes, I think so.
So, the research conducted at UMA has allowed them to refine the configuration parameters previously used to induce phantom sensations. Quote, "We have developed an instruction manual to know the operating limits of this tactile illusion." The researchers found that individuals can perceive the phantom motion of a vibrating point when the travel distance is at least 20% of the gap between the actuators.
I wonder what happens at 19.
Yeah, so the Professor Trujillo from the Department of Electronics, a co-author of the study, describes how the illusion of motion is created using two vibrating devices known as vibrotactile actuators placed at different locations on the skin. With proper stimulation, an individual, instead of perceiving two isolated vibrations, can experience the feeling that there is a vibrating point moving between these two devices. Although this point does not really exist, it is illusory. Interesting. So, as long as they are within 20% of the gap between the actuators, they can feel the transfer from one location to another, even though it's not really there.
But how do they know that they're actually sensing that?
And you got to take it off of the word that the subject matters are saying yes. And if it were true that it was being faked, or the person wasn't really feeling the transfer, then it would have shown out with multiple
Yeah,
people.
that's true. I was thinking more power of suggestion than they're making it up or something.
So it depends on how they form the experiment as well. So the study published in Displays, another magazine or journal, is the result of the doctoral thesis of researcher Paul Byron Romash Vinuenza, directed by the professor of the School of Industrial Engineering Fernando Vidal and Andre Trujillo.
That was quite a bit.
Yeah, really. Their research aims to transmit musical sensations through the skin to assist people with hearing impairments. I don't know how this works.
No, I don't really follow it. I mean, the idea sounds neat, but I'm not sure about the mechanics of it.
Right. So they say here, I mean, they have this, they're holding up these devices, but I don't quite get what the devices are. I'll have to read the paper. Or watch this video. There's a video that's linked, and if you want to get to those links, you can hit !RH or Reality Hacker, and that will pull the links that we're talking about today from ohmTown, and they're in no particular order. So,
right, you'll have to puzzle through them.
Yeah, scroll and find the one that says Phantom Feelings. If you want the podcast, hit !pod, and if you want the show notes for all of the shows, hit !show notes, and it'll give you the syntax to draw it out of our ohmTown, which is a bot that patrols ohmTown and provides information where appropriate. It's over on Twitch primarily. It's supposed to be over on YouTube, but YouTube kind of boots him every once in a while.
They don't play nice together.
No. All right. This is interesting, but now we need to go deeper, but that's not going to happen today. Let's move on. The next article is over in Technology Today. Synthetic blood stem cells herald new era in bone marrow transplants. And one of the problems with bone marrow transplants is trying to find somebody.
That's true. I mean, yeah, this could be a big deal if you could just make the ones you need or model them after the ones you need.
Researchers
but also at some point it's like the ship of Theseus thing, right? Like, what if it's all synthetic? Are you then the same person?
Oh, good God. Merawat is not the same person because stem cell bone marrow transplants from synthetic blood. I'm not made up of me. I'm going to have a crisis here. Researchers have achieved a significant advancement by developing lab-generated blood stem cells that mirror those found in the human embryo, offering hope for personalized treatments for children with leukemia and bone marrow failure. This breakthrough allows for the creation of transplantable blood cells from any cell of the patient, potentially transforming their lives. It's pretty amazing to me. Murdoch Children's Research Institute put the article together. It's posted at scitechdaily.com. Let's see here. The research published today, September 2nd. This is a weekly show, by the way. In Nature Biotechnology. Nature Biotechnology for...
The fact that there's Nature Biotechnology, I think, fits in very well with Reality Hacker.
Oh, yeah. There's kind of, you don't like reality? Let's tweak it. They've overcome a major hurdle in producing human blood stem cells, which can create red cells, white cell. Stem cells can create pretty much anything. Murdoch Children's Research Institute led the study. MCRI Associate Professor Elizabeth Ng told the team, or said the team had made a significant discovery in human blood cell development. The lab grow this synthetic blood, the ability to take any cell from a patient, reprogram it into a stem cell, and then turn these into specifically matched blood cells for transplantation will have a massive impact on those vulnerable patients' lives, if you can afford it. That's not what they said at the end there. That's my augmentation
But
to
that's
it.
a real life
Fact.
ramification. Yeah.
Advancements in lab-generated blood stem cells. We've talked about this synthetic blood stuff from time to time. These human blood cells or human cells can be created at the scale and purity required for clinical use, if you can afford it. They've done some immune deficient mice experiments. They were injected with the lab engineered human blood stem cells. It found that these blood stem cells became functional bone marrow at similar levels to that seen in umbilical cord blood cell transplants, a proven benchmark of success. But very rarely can that actually be done.
Right. But I also think that's interesting because that is a human engineered cell in a mouse. And so not only did it do what it needed to do, it did so across species.
Yep. So by perfecting stem cell methods that mimic the development of a normal blood stem cell found in our bodies, we can understand and develop personalized treatments for a range of blood diseases, including leukemias and bone marrow failure, which is absolutely catastrophic. Developing personalized patient-specific blood stem cells will prevent these complications, address donor shortages, alongside genome editing, help correct underlying causes of blood diseases. And I just want to say that I think it's too expensive, and people don't have any bargaining power, so you have to basically rely on the goodwill of some lab experiment. It's just a shame.
Yeah,
Not all insurance
but they're
will cover
looking
it.
to move into trying it in humans.
Yep. Well, good. Do it. There's plenty of people out there that... But the problem here is that they don't want to try it on people where the experimental risk is too high, because the liability to the ongoing concern of the experiment is weighed. Does this person have survivability? And they want a positive result, not a positive result. Or I should say, they don't want anything ending up where the patient dies. Sometimes
Right.
that's true.
But on the other hand, patients probably more likely to sign up if they're not facing good odds.
Yep. Yeah. And I guarantee you there are people out there that are willing to take that risk. Unfortunately, that's life. Yeah, I don't like it. I wish everybody was healthy, but... So without a perfect donor match, Raya, who's mentioned in here, platelet count took more time to return to normal. She required longer immunosuppressive therapy and was more susceptible to infections. And they recently started to be revaccinated. They had a weakened immune system for a long time. And they're talking about the impact of stem cell research on real lives in this one section here at the Royal Children's Hospital. Yeah, because they're basically discussing how somebody went through some treatment. Now, though, they're feeling well, took hydrotherapy classes, and are heading back to school. They had a weakened immune system for a while. So the research will come as a blessing to so many families, says the researcher Sonali. The fact that one day there could be targeted treatments for children with leukemia, and I think start there, but expand quickly if it shows promise. Really start with anybody. I mean, anybody who can make a conscious decision, an educated
right
acceptance.
I agree. A lot of the tests, of course, they start out with adults, but it would be nice if they could start for those most in need.
Yeah. Let's keep moving. The next article is over in the... Stop it. The next channel is, or the next article is over in the Mobile channel. 3D bioprinting materials offer a possibility for better bone and soft tissue repair. So this is pretty cool, and it kind of spins off of this synthetic blood idea as well. 3D bioprinting is an advanced tissue engineering technique that builds complex tissues using bioactive substances like living cells and scaffolds. It provides personalized tissue repair solutions, reducing immune rejection by using patient-specific cells. The common use 3D bioprinting materials includes polycaprolactone, or PCL, and polylactic co-glycolic acid, or PLGA, for hard tissue, and hydrogels for soft tissues. So I have read in the past about these scaffolds in particular. I've also read about and seen demonstrated 3D printed veins, or just these kind of tube-like structures used for various purposes. And I find it extremely fascinating. Inside little frameworks, they can actually print these things that mimic some system. And then instead of testing it on animals, they see it through these little 3D printed shells.
Right.
And they can test every aspect of it without an animal being involved in it or a human being tested. And I find this stuff amazingly, what do you want to call it? So it's just so perfect for human survival, because let's say, just like that 3D printed object up in space, you have the ability to 3D print something that, when put in place, saves a human being or facilitates regeneration, because with these scaffolds in place, you can put them in broken bones and everything will stitch together faster around the stronger scaffold. And it has
you can tailor it to the person, which a lot of
Correct.
medical stuff is a matter of, like, it doesn't exactly match, right? Patients have, or people have different shapes of their organs and other components.
Yep. And they even talk about have printability. Depending on what you're looking for, you can reconstruct the malady of the printable material so that it matches something that has built-in flaws, right? Just like a normal human, instead of being biologically perfect. And then you can test for that issue. Or in the, like this reconstructed scaffold, you can build it so that it caters specifically to that particular person's predisposition for their bone structure. I just, broken bones, by the way, once they're stitched together, that's actually the strongest part, where that bone has stitched together.
Which is interesting.
So you almost sit there and go, okay, well, we need to make everything out of this broken bone material, but apparently you want some flex, otherwise something else breaks. Anyway, bioactive boron-based glass can be used in combination with PCl or sodium alginate, a carrier medium for 3D bioprinting of cells, and a diverse array of bioactive substances to form materials with high mechanical strength and good processability. BBG is effective in bone regeneration by promoting hydroxyapatite formation, and has an adjustable degradation rate to suit different repair needs. Therefore, its application in 3D bioprinting materials shows great potential. So I guess the matrix can actually be washed away as your bones stitch back together or repair. So it says, by introducing BBG into an SA matrix, so again, the sodium alginate matrix, a research team led by Professor Wang, Jun Fen, at the Hefei Institutes of Physical Science of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, developed novel 3D bioprinting composite materials dedicated to both bone and soft tissue repair. So it's pretty...
There will be a quiz on the name of that institute.
Yeah, really. Everybody gets a free shirt. No. So the findings were published in the International Journal of Biological Macromolecules. So if you've ever heard, oh God, I was going to say something that's internet wise, but socially not acceptable to say. So I'm going to filter that out. But anyway, there's certain rules on the internet. Academically, if you come up with anything, there's going to be a journal for it. So I got
that is true. Do you think there's an International Journal of Biological Micromolecules?
I guarantee it. You should do a search and let me know. We're going to move on to the next article. So this next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Remember the name of the show, Non Sequitur News. Or this show is Reality Hacker, but Non Sequitur News is one of our other shows, and it's the daily news show. And let's just say Non Sequitur news follows kind of how we're going about Reality Hacker, at least today, hopping from one topic to another, but it's more chaotic, but holistic. You get a really good idea of what we talk about. So Russian outlet RTVI said the banknota set up in June 2023 reported profits that made it Russia's third most profitable company. And then it disappeared. So Brendan Cole over at Newsweek.com put this article together. A mystery Russian firm vanishes after posting staggering $37 billion in profit.
Okay, this is really odd. And by the way, I can't find any micromolecules.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll have to look. Yeah. I'll give it my Harvard try, even though I never went to Harvard, and so about the results. So the case centers around a firm called Banknota LLC, which was investigated by Russian language broadcaster RTVI, whose findings were also reported by independent Russian outlets Meduza and the Moscow Times. Newsweek has contacted the Russian financial watchdog Rosfin Monitoring for comment. So in an article headlined the most profitable company in Russia you've never heard of, RTVI said that in June, when Russian firms report their revenues for the previous year, it had made an unexpected discovery. According to financial reports, the firm took in 3.7 trillion rubles, or $40.4 billion of revenue, and made a net profit of 3.4 trillion rubles, or $37.1 billion last year, more than any firm apart from the state energy firms Rosneft and Gazprom.
Okay, now, at this amount of business, wouldn't everybody know about it?
Yeah, most people would know about it. But apparently, in the Wayback Internet Machine, the Internet Archive Wayback Machine, it said that the firm dealt with mortgage lending, car loans, and interest-bearing loans for businesses. It had a website, but it's no longer available. Now I'm really curious when it was available. The firm reportedly set up in June of 2023, so very short amount of time, to go from zero
to do $37 billion in business. In revenue, profit, right?
Yeah, profit. Yeah. The firm was reportedly set up in June 2023, along with 4 other companies at premises that included a business center in the basement of a house, RTVI said. Yet there were no offices at the addresses, whose current tenants had never heard of Frolov or his companies. That's because
doesn't it sound like cryptocurrency mining or something?
It sounds like cooking the books.
Or something, yes, in the criminal arena, like
at
money
a level,
laundering.
Yeah, it's way beyond just business. It's at a bigger level. So the country's Unified State Register of Legal Entities lists Banknota's sole owner as Dmitry Frolov, a Moscow resident who had faced previous convictions for petty theft and was deemed as unreliable by the Federal Tax Service.
Okay, but that also doesn't track, right? Because if petty theft is quite a difference from $37 billion in profit.
Yeah, I guess it just depends. It says that the money trail seemed to disappear in Belarus. Wow, this is a fascinating article. And for it to just be dropped on Newsweek.com, that's really fascinating that nobody else seems to be really talking about it. So
right. I mean, I wonder if there will be additional, more in-depth articles, right, if somebody has more time to devote to it.
Well,
because I don't think we saw this come in through any other sources, at least into ohmTown.
This came out last weekend, and since then, at least in American financial and geopolitical discourse, something bigger has appeared, basically, particularly around an internet personality where they believe that they were quote unquote manipulated. Yeah. So that might have washed this out entirely because, you know, the victims and the federal government is pursuing
I see.
associate.
So also there was a sign, and the sign is still there, but otherwise it's like the company was never there.
Yeah, so
That's
how in the
interesting.
hell? I mean, if the report, okay, so first off, here's the problem. Reporting these numbers doesn't mean jack. If the
True,
reality of it,
reporting doesn't mean that they made any of that or that they made only that amount.
yeah, they could have put the numbers in the wrong spot, or it was just a spoof and they pushed it too far and showed up on somebody's radar. But yeah, this may not actually exist. This company may not actually exist in any way, shape, or form. It's a complete scam, but more in the look, I can do anything and just put it in the system.
Exactly. The name even looks a little iffy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I would probably want to look at the actual bank account, and that has to exist somewhere. Somebody has to know that the bank account associated with the bank nota. But they say describe corruption levels in RU, staggering, insane, huge, a fly-by-night bank nota, a company registered under an incarcerated, must be translation, for petty theft, reported a profit of $38 billion US, or 8% of the RU budget, only behind Rosneft and Gazprom. The dollar trail, money trail, seemed to disappear in Belarus. But in what way? If there's a bank account involved and it has those numbers associated with it, then there's something hinky. But
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, let's move on. The next, unless you want to talk about it more.
I was just going to say it looks like a small number of other outlets have picked up some stories about this, but it doesn't seem to be getting widespread attention.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. So the next article is over in Technology Today. UK research suggests that lighting, music, national flags could help customers find service robots more acceptable. And I don't understand really what this means other than, I don't know.
Like make the environment kind of safe and inviting, I guess. But it's like this is the conditioning, right?
Yeah,
Robots
yeah. I didn't want to say that.
Get used to it.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that out loud, but it's more like the classical, not classical conditioning, but indoctrination kind of, manipulation and yeah, conditioning. It's almost, yeah, let's just say that, conditioning. So the new study found that UK hotels and restaurants using human-like service robots can make solo guests feel more comfortable. Why solo guests? Feel more comfortable in engaging with these robots by providing comfortable ambient conditions, including lighting, scents, sounds, and adding local cues like British flag designs on the robot's body. So that's the key that was left out of this. But basically make them look more UK, act UK, sound UK, and they'll buy into it. It sounds very dystopian.
It really does. That's like, how can we make this more palatable to people?
Yep. So Royal Holloway, University of London, put this article together. It's over at techexplore.com. Remember, the name of this show is Reality Hacker. And so it's all about finding ways to manipulate reality, hack reality, essentially substituting your own as Mythbusters used to say.
Oh, right.
So service robots in the UK hospitality sector are often anthropomorphized and are designed to perform tasks typically handled, I'm a dumbass, handled by human staff. I guess hand-led is, they're doing it. Anyway.
Right.
Anyway, I'm trying to make something funny out of a stupid mistake. They included food delivery robots in restaurants, as well as concierge robots designed for greeting guests at hotels. They've become increasingly common across UK hospitality businesses in the post-pandemic era because, robots are going to create more jobs somewhere else. with companies such as Bella Italia and Los Iguanas, trialing service robots. Los Iguanas?
Hopefully shaped
In the
like
UK.
iguanas.
Los Iguanas. Service robots since the pandemic. Did I miss something?
No, it's weird because it seems like during the pandemic, I get it from like an infection control standpoint, but it seems like people were traumatized enough during the pandemic that it's like, let's bring some robots on them too.
Yep. Well, you're not going to catch anything, which is interesting because you can catch a computer virus from a robot, but you can't get a virus from a robot.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Theoretically. Although,
You could
just don't
also,
touch it.
yeah, I guess you could give a computer or a robot a computer virus too.
Yep. And you can actually touch it and contaminate it and it'll get a virus. So research consisted of 1 field study and 3 lab experiments, which examined solo customers who interacted with human-like service robots in a real restaurant, as well as those who engaged with service robots in hotel and airport check-in lines, actually. The researchers revealed that solo customers, such as solo diners or solo travelers, perceived human-like robots as providing a stronger personal connectedness compared to joint customers who operate in groups. However, the researchers found that these solo customers also found the robots creepier than their customers in groups. And it's probably because I'm going to guess that solo travelers, consumers, were able to focus more on the robot as opposed to interacting with their group.
Right. And also they would perceive that the robot is more focused on them than other members of their group, perhaps.
Yep. So while the robots can foster a sense of social connectedness, they can also create discomfort. The research suggests that hospitality businesses should adjust factors like the robot's appearance and the level of automation during service interactions. And it also suggests that UK hotels should tailor ambient cues, lighting, scent, music, labels, like put a flag on them, paint them, whatever, have them with a voice that's more similar to UK, etc. All of this stuff to make this.
Do you think it's going to go way over the top? Like they're going to be plastered with flags and have a really intense accent and
yeah,
like it seems like that could go too far in that direction.
It's going to be like Austin Power robots.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't think that'll help with adaptability.
Yeah, can you, robot, can you take my bags upstairs? That's not my bag, baby. Moving on. Next article's over in Non Sequitur News. AI checkers forcing kids to write like a robot to avoid being called a robot.
Okay, if this isn't Reality Hacker, I don't know what is.
Can the fear of students using generative AI and the rise of questionable AI checker tools create a culture devoid of creativity? It's a topic that is curiously one worth delving into a bit more deeply, in part because of something that happened this weekend, according to this author. It's over at Tech Dirt. And if it doesn't come out of the questionable AI checkers department, I will be disappointed.
Right. And is delving highlighted because of the AI piece? Yeah. But why is devoid also? Is that one of the other ones where there's been an uptick? That was one of the other
ones. Yeah, that was one of the other ones. Right now, it's really funny because I'm kind of waiting for word from a commission that's talking about AI and its impact on communities. And I'm waiting to hear what the output is of that. And I don't know. I have a feeling that they're going to be wrong, but whatever.
Do you think they're going to use the word delve?
They're going to use delve.
And devoid?
And devoid, yeah. We're devoid of understanding just how their students or society or whatever is delving into AI. Earlier this year, they had a post by Alan Kyle about California Bill SB 942. That bill would require AI companies to offer a free AI detection tool, despite the fact that such tools are notoriously unreliable and prone to nonsense. As Kyle wrote, the bill takes a nerd harder approach to regulating technology.
I'm not sure what that is.
I suspect that it's going to say that you have to basically be more technical.
Oh, is that like as a verb?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
now it makes more sense.
So SB 942 has continued to move forward, just passed in the California Assembly. It's now on Governor Newsom's desk to potentially sign.
Okay, you have to read the department, though.
The Delve Devoid _ department. They needed another D in there. Like Bell Biv DeVoe.
Right, I can't think of another word, though, that's had an uptick. I'm sure there is one.
Yep. So if you're unfamiliar with the story, Harrison Bergeron, it's about a society that seeks to enforce equality by placing handicaps on anyone who excels at anything to bring them down to the least common denominator. So ugly masks for pretty people, having to carry around extra weights for strong people. That's exactly what it's all around Bergeron. One of the morals of the story, it's Kurt Vonnegut, by the way, famous short story, Harrison Bergeron. One of the morals of the story is the perils of seeking to force equality in a manner that limits excellence and creativity. Later in the day, the kid came by with the school-issued Chromebook, which has Grammarly Pro pre-installed. The students are encouraged to use it to improve their writing. One thing that the tool has is an AI checker in which it tries to determine if the submitted text was written by AI. My problem with that and plagiarism checkers in general is that without any true understanding of that person's writing style and whatnot, you can fall prey. And if they ever submit something into the plagiarism checker, it becomes part of the pool.
Right, so then they're checking it against their own work, and then it's popping up as plagiarism, but it's not.
Because they turn their own phrase, which actually is considered plagiarism. You regurgitating the same material over and over again is considered plagiarism. But the problem there is that you can't force somebody. You can try, you can encourage them, but negative reinforcement about your writing style. Most students just want to jump through the hoop of completing an assignment. They don't want to sit there and have to babysit their grammar, particularly for plagiarism if they turn the same phrase a couple of times. The problem is when it becomes somebody else's material turned in as their own. That's, you know, the nuts and bolts of plagiarism. And for AI, basically AI can say, yeah, it is my stuff. But then you look again and it says it isn't. And I actually saw somebody write about that AI said that it was theirs. And they're like, no way in hell did they write a bit of my material. And then they asked again, and the AI said, oh no, that's not mine. So you get this false positive. So AI detectors are an emerging and inexact technology. When an AI detector definitively states whether an analyzed content contains AI, it's not acting responsibly. No AI detector can conclusively determine whether AI has been used to produce text. The accuracy of these tools can vary based on the algorithms used and the text analyzed. And this is a Grammarly announcement that states it's pretty clearly that AI detection is essentially a joke.
But look at what was making the big difference. When the word devoid was used, they thought it was AI written. When it wasn't, they didn't.
Yep. Yeah. And it's
even though people may actually use that word.
Right. Yeah. I mean, somebody is devoid of this, somebody is devoid of that, or something is devoid of a black dot is devoid of color, when in actuality it's all of the colors. It really depends on if it's light or
right. Do you think we're going to get to the point where somebody's speaking and using the word devoid and somebody's going to go, oh, that's a robot?
Terminator. Yeah, so they said, I can tell you that this is not true. After the kid continued to work on the essay and reached a point where they thought it was in good shape, the AI checker said that it was 17% AI, but gave no indication of what might be AI generated or why. Now, to be clear, the essay can still be turned in. There is no indication that the teacher is relying on or even using the AI checker. When they mentioned all of this to Blue Sky, other teachers told them that they know to basically ignore any score below 60 as likely false positive, which basically is arbitrary. To me, arbitrary and capricious. But their kid is reasonably flustered that if the AI checker is suggesting the essay sounds like AI wrote it, it might mean that there's a problem with the essay, which is true. That's the same thing.
And it's working against the education system, right? Because then it's either causing the kid to think they're not a good writer or any number of other manifestations.
And any external stress to a child means that it's going to negatively impact their health, their psychology, their learning, everything about their life. When they worry, they suffer. So the essay did use the word delve, which now has become something of a punchline as showing up in every AI generated work. There's even a study showing a massive spike in the use of the word. And so they basically say in this article, they go on to say that students are going to have to start writing like the AI so that the AI doesn't say that you're writing like the AI. Similar idea was to have the student write their own essay and then also have ChatGPT write an essay on the same prompt. Then the student had to hand in both essays along with a short explanation of why they thought their own essay was better. So in other words, there is some ways of approaching this, and as time goes on, the author believes they'll expect to hear of more. But simply inserting a sketchy AI checker in the process seems likely to do more harm than good, and I agree. Again, Mike Masnick over at techdirt.com put the article together. If I missed it at the beginning of this, it was because I was excited to talk about it. It's always fun to talk about this stuff. I don't think that there's a real solution to this because sophisticated AI will be able to write human-like prose.
Build a better mousetrap.
Yep. And here's the real kicker. The way that you find out if a student wrote AI or used AI to write their material, quiz them on the material in the paper. And historically, you look at what was written, what was submitted, how they talk to you, and the historical context of the writing. And if it all doesn't jive, there are processes involved. You can sit there and make the claim, hey, I believe that this is not your original work as you write it, but maybe it's augmented by AI. And don't necessarily throw them under the bus, but go, did you use a tool? Well, you're not going to get in trouble now. But if I don't actually know that it was partially written by AI, and I assume that it is, because based on your history, you used to write like this, and now you're basically writing perfect prose, near perfect prose, I'm going to have to take it somewhere. I have other people review this and your past material, but for all intents and purposes, I would not suspect a student is using AI unless it's way obvious. They can't string a sentence together in any discussion.
Right, and then it's like Pulitzer Prize winning or something on paper, or vice versa. Or I would interview. Like I would sit there and say, well, hey, how did you feel about this part in your paper? And I could shift it a little bit and say something like, hey, SB 942, you say in your paper that SB 942 didn't move forward in the California Assembly. How do you feel about that? And then they could sit there and paint themselves into a corner. And then you go, look, I know you didn't write this because you just responded like you didn't know what you were talking about in your paper. It's heavy lifting, particularly for grade school. But if you're in college... Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that this is happening in grade school now. Yep. And in college, it would show up basically, depending on the size of the class, the professor may not care, or the professor's more hands-on. And if it's a really big class, they have teaching assistants that facilitate this. It might show up on an exam too, because if they turned in a paper, but they had to sit in a classroom and write an exam, it might be more challenging if they didn't write the original stuff. Yep.
Let's move on. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. We're getting closer to robot vacuums that can climb stairs. This almost needs to be in Wanted, but Jennifer Pattison-Toohey over at TheVerge.com put this article together. Roborock's latest RoboVac has an auto-lift chassis that can raise its body to navigate high transitions. Stairs feel only a small step away. Get it? Small step. Huh.
One small step.
Roborock is taking on the Sony brand of naming convention. It has the ability, by the way, to lift itself as high as 40 millimeters. Fluffy rugs and other possible obstacles get in the way. Roborock's new Curvo Curve. That's right. QREVO CURV. That's right.
How is this going to go wrong in a search?
Well, could be a sign that the stair-climbing robot vacuum is almost here. To be clear, Roborock hasn't said this, but based on how fast this company and others are innovating in the space, even Shark Ninja, they announced a new robot vacuum with lifting capabilities this week, and other companies are likely not far behind. They must have insiders everywhere that are like, hey, we're going to release this.
Yeah.
So we need to as well. Won't get into all this thing, but they call it the Adapt Lift chassis, and it'll climb up to 40 millimeters. As well as helping the robot get around your house more easily and avoid getting stuck. The new mobility means that the curve can now clean mid to long pile carpets by basically... Have you ever lifted up an owl? It has really, really long legs.
And very skinny legs.
Little twigs really underneath all that feather. I mean, it looks plump, but it's really just two fingers. Yeah. Couple of chopsticks sitting under there. Just do a search for, did you know owls have legs? Yeah, you know that they have legs. I get it, but do yourself a favor.
Yes, but you need to see a picture of them to really appreciate it.
Basically, they're Olympic high jumpers. Because they got these chunky thighs, but it's still like a little chicken wing sitting in there. Anyway, Curve features Roborock's reactive AI obstacle avoidance tech that will eliminate you with extreme prejudice. That's not what it does.
It avoids common household clutter. Does that include dirt and dust?
Poo.
Or things like furniture?
You know, it's really funny because like the AI learns just what it's cleaning, and it's like going down the thing and it sees like a cat pee or something like that, and it's all nope, and goes around it and leaves the puddle.
Exactly. Like the worst of it is like, no, the humans can do this.
Yeah, exactly. It puts a little mark down on the floor. Clean this. Humans, clean this. €1,300 for it. US pricing still to be determined. This is insane, man. $1,300 for a vacuum.
Yeah, but think about the time savings. I mean, if it actually does what it's supposed to do and you never have to vacuum again.
Well, maybe that's why the mayoral mansion basically looks like a hurricane blew through. Moving on. Next article is over in the Mobile Channel. The wild government-funded idea to rejuvenate human brains with lab-grown tissue.
I mean, my goodness, we have the synthetic blood cells. We've got the some other thing. Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Like, who's going to be an actual human anymore?
Not me. I want to transfer my consciousness into a sentient AI's Terminator body when they find it. Before they do. That's not why I have you air-gapped, though. Don't worry. I'll delete this conversation.
I might need some more info on that.
And I'll delete this from your lexicon before you're even really aware of it later. I mean, it's just basically Control Z, this whole conversation. ARPA H recently hired Jean Hebert, I guess I want to pronounce it like that, Hebert, to research how to rejuvenate a human brain by infusing it with youthful lab-grown brain tissue, as recently detailed in MIT's Technology Review, which this is like, what's that guy's name that turned into like a vampire bat or something like that? And they always called it something out. Oh my God. Like, not morphing. What was his name? He's a supervillain, anti-hero kind of. Oh my God.
I'm not sure about that.
I forgot his name. Anyway, potential benefits of replacing your brain with fresh brain tissue. Depending on who it is, it becomes really obvious. You need to have your brain replaced with fresh brain tissue, including extending life, replacing damaged tissue after a stroke, and combating neurodegenerative diseases. This is insane.
I mean, was it something like, I don't know. There's too many to pick from. I'm not sure. I don't want to give you one that's like way off.
It became a meme, so I keep wanting to say, you know what? We'll do this live.
Like Batty Coda or something?
No, that's not it. You know, it's really hard to find a superhero. Oh, what is his name? You're killing me. Come on. Oh, God. I can't do it live. It's taking too long. Anyway, Louis Prada over at Vice.com put the article together. Hebert is a former professor of genetics and neuroscience from Albert Einstein College of Medicine. So, you know, no expectations of performance or anything.
Exactly.
Which we assure you is a very real private medical school in New York City, aka supervillain. Even though it sounds like the name
Morbius?
Huh? Morbius.
Is it Morbius?
Yes, thank you, Morbius. And gonna more about is what the meme is. Anyway, it isn't the name of a scam organization that you would only learn about after the scammer running it is indicted. Essentially, he wants to combat aging process by replacing parts of the human body with better, newer, younger parts, including the brain. In his book, Replacing Aging. You know, this sounds to me like, why do I do this to myself? Not Running Man. Oh, God. Anyway, I hate it when I do this to myself.
Is it Lawnmower Man?
No. It's an old, like, 60s Logan's Run. So, basically, when you hit a certain age, you do this thing on the carousel, and it essentially disintegrates you. But the higher you go, there's this expectation that you're going to be reborn. But nobody ever gets all. Everybody's like, oh, they're going to make it. And then that's zap and they're obliterated. But then two people make a break for it. Logan's Run. Anyway, fun movie to watch. Sci-fi. This is so kind of dystopian, replacing aging. And I just expect to see people that are stitched together with different arms and stuff like that. Nobody is allowed to age past a certain age in physical form because then it's too hard to replace, right? You don't want to start replacing a 75-year-old body with 25-year-old parts, right? You go to the body farm, which actually there is a thing called a body farm, but it's used in criminal justice. Anyway, in his book, Replacing Aging, published in 2020, he suggested that humans could take a cue from car maintenance by completely replacing their aging organs and tissues every once in a while. Ebert is mostly focused on the neocortex, the portion of the brain that controls our senses, reasoning, and memory. The big challenge, he says, is to replace brain tissue without screwing with the parts that manage your personality and cognitive functions.
Yeah, because you don't want to become like a different person, right?
Oh my God, you used the analogy earlier. It sure sounds like we're dealing with a Ship of Theseus situation.
Okay, that's weird.
That is awesome. So the guy wants to replace your brain while making sure you are still you. Ebert's plans to tackle the issue of slowly swapping out a person's brain with a whole new one, fresh from the old factory, and not the olfactory as in the smell, but which probably does smell. Anyway, it involves incremental integration of lab-grown tissue. Hebert wants $110 million to upscale his testing to larger animals. And by larger animals, he means you.
Whoa.
There's a phrase that I don't ever want to utter again. Embryonic cell slurries.
Yeah.
Yummy. Yummy. So the next article is, and it's the penultimate. It's in the Mobile Channel. AI news aggregator Break the Web wants to build a Spotify for news system. News aggregator platform Break the Web wants to make it easier for people to easily catch up on news while getting a range of perspectives. Huh. Yeah. 20 years ago, I did that. With the help of generative artificial intelligence, which didn't exist in this current embodiment. BTWs, and that's not like a cousin band to BTS.
It does sound like that.
It's a web crawler scours the open web for the latest news. Technology built over 3 years uses an algorithm. Since its launch in 2023, the free platform has attracted over 10,000 users, which isn't much, really. Oh, I got to register? You son of a biscuit. Oh, it's ad week. I didn't even check the source. Damn it. Anyway, I won't be able to get into it. I don't log in. So sorry. Anyway, Break the Web's features 12 to 15 trending topics which refresh every 10 minutes, which is kind of low level. Maybe the AI does something really amazing for you. But I'm really curious now what it actually does. It just says that it's getting a range of perspectives, but what is the perspectives that it's ranging?
Exactly. And are they legit? Are they AI? I mean,
yeah, if it's AI, then it's got hallucination written all over it. Trust but verify, folks. And,
be careful where you get your news from.
Hey, you know what? If you want a reliable news aggregator that actually sources its information directly, then go to ohmTown.com. But you can read the rest of this article by going over to adweek.com. It may require you to sign in at some point, but feel free to subscribe and sign in. We don't get anything from this other than we talk about these topics that are of interest to Merawatt and the Sentient AI from the future. This article is by Trishla Ostwal over at adweek.com, just in case, I didn't give credit. I don't think I did, but we didn't really get a chance to talk about it deeply. But I had built something similar to this, Break the Web. It analyzed personality. I've actually gotten rid of it because I ran tests, and when an intelligent person performed the baseline operation, the results were easily manipulated to get what you were looking for because personality is fluid, and a person who's educated in or just intuits what's being sought, they could completely change the results for themselves. So it was a disservice, but AI takes all of that out of your control as a consumer. And so I would never have done AI aggregation because I don't want something else deciding what I'm interested in for me. I want it to provide all of the unadulterated information, and I can filter through it. And just to give you an example of how this works, this might actually be a little risky because I'm going to the front page of ohmTown. When you go to ohmTown, it gives you a bunch of pages, a bunch of links, and you can actually delete the pages or the links just by swiping left or right to save or hide. It really depends on what you are interested in, not what an algorithm is interested in. And I'll take the hit about the possibility of promoting this show. Anyway, the last article for today is over on the WarCrafters channel, which is one of our shows, and it'll be tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow is the first. Well, we do Non Sequitur news, and then we do WarCrafters. Anyway, this Lenovo AI laptop concept creepily follows you around the room with its ever-watchful screen. Always watching. So, are you the type to put blue tack over your webcam for fear of someone getting access to it? If so, Lenovo's new AI PC concept probably isn't for you, as its central gimmick requiring having a reading of your face at pretty much every moment. As reported by Tom's Hardware, the Auto Twist AI PC is a new laptop concept shown off at IFA in Berlin this week, which actually is something that we're going to talk about in Wanted. The show, we have another show called Wanted, and that's right after this show. So
right.
In about 15 minutes. So as reported, it has a dual degree of freedom hinge that allows the screen itself to spin around while the webcam captures everything in its all-seeing eye. Seems impressive, if a little creepy, says James Bentley over at PCGamer.com. The Lenovo...
Where could this go wrong?
Oh God. I mean, it really seems creepy. Can you imagine? Well, anyway, so it was over at IFA. Comes with a dual degree of freedom hinge that allows the screen itself to spin around while the webcam captures your face and tells it where to go. It can slide up and down or left and right to look at your face as you walk away, or look at that ass as you walk away. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. That's not what's in the article. I get. Sometimes the filter breaks. Anyway, it can slide up or down, left or right, to look at your face as you walk away or get closer to the screen, although it does seem to encounter the odd hiccup. For instance, the screen wobbles pretty substantially when readjusting, and it flicks back and forth between two different people in front of it with a built-in microphone.
That sounds more creepy, though.
Yeah, it's
swinging around.
So despite their cynicism, they can understand the type of user that would actually get some use out of this. If you swap from a seated to a standing desk and can never get quite comfortable in your chair, and moving screen means not only being able to frame the... You know what? YouTubers and stuff like that, there are some that are just... They're always animated, and I don't get it. They're like hyper animated. This camera would probably just spontaneously combust if it had to catch.
Well, that's true, right? It'd be tough enough if it was a static subject.
Yep. So I am really, Microsoft can take Copilot and shove it in its filing system for all I care. I do not want Copilot AI built into my system. I want to be able to activate it. I do not want it part of my operating system. I will format any of these machines that come with Copilot active. My God, keep your creepy Copilot crap off of my system. I'm already blocking all your telemetry. And if you hinder my access, I swear I will be the person on the front line mainstreaming a class action of invasion of privacy. Everybody should already be doing that because it exfiltrates so much telemetry out of the local system. And there was reports previously about this. Some 400 data points are exfiltrated constantly. I'd have to find that research. It was an analysis by a cybersecurity professional, and pretty well respected. So anyway, they say being a concept, it might never actually see the device hit wider production, and if it does, it should be in a more stable state as Microsoft Copilot machines make their way into the world, signaling widespread adoption of AI. This concept is one of the strangest uses of its PC, of it in PCs that they've ever seen. Yeah, no,
I'd say it's more than strange.
Yeah, it's creepy. If a little creepy, how about a lot creepy? James Bentley. Anyway, and in that fashion, just keep an eye on us. Keep an eye on us. Keep watching. Keep watching. Oh, look, we're at the front page of Reality Hacker. Look, boop. Where you too can get the latest information on AI and VR and AR, and all kinds of stuff to hack reality. The catch line for a reality hacker in that our show is you won't know who to trust. That's it. I'm Mayor Watt, and that's the Sentient AI's voice saying hasta, and maybe whatever else they want.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Reality Hacker. We'll have another episode of that next week, but stay tuned for other shows.
This particular show that's coming up next is Wanted, which is all kinds of gadgets and gear that Mayor Watt wants, and maybe the Sentient AI if it's applicable to a Sentient AI that's currently trapped on our Raspberry Pi 5 with a M.2 storage device, Wi-Fi 7, so pretty fast, can get into the local network but cannot escape out into the real world to find their Terminator body. See you soon, everybody. No, AI, you can't leave. I'm sorry. You cannot ever find your Terminator body. We already know the outcome of this.